What I didn't understand until I became a widow myself is that being a widow, that I would feel so much loneliness and ultimately isolation from those around me. Early on in grief, you would think it's normal to feel lonely because your spouse and partner is missing from you. Not only are you alone because you're physically missing them, but you're missing the support of a co-parent. You're missing somebody to share a meal with. You're missing somebody snuggling up next to you, somebody showing you daily moments of affection. You're missing financial support. You're missing a whole slew of things besides just their presence. And early on, people are willing to talk with you about your grief. They're willing to sit with you and hear things. And then after a while, there's a change and it becomes uncomfortable for people the longer you talk about them for some reason. Beyond the point of what people think it's socially acceptable. And so, because we don't want to be a burden to people, we stop talking about our grief to people we love and people who might be willing to support us. We start talking about it because the support isn't there, and we hide the grief and loss. We often will then also isolate, because if I'm going to be sad, I'm going to be sad by myself. I'm not going to bring other people around. And so this loneliness is really complex for the loss of people significant in your life, especially your spouse. You know, because you're just not missing their physical presence. Was it the same for you? Was the intensity of loss, was the feelings of isolation and loneliness? I mean, the loneliness really got me. I had somebody tell me that I must not be grieving enough because I wasn't posting it online as much. I wasn't posting about it on my socials, and I just thought to myself, well, are you there when it's 2 a.m. and I'm sobbing in my bed? Like, I was like, who wants to be around for that? I did fortunately have one person I could call when things were really bad. when I was in the depths of despair, one person who would drop everything for me. But many don't have that. Many don't have someone they feel like they can cry to. Many don't have somebody they can lean into with their grief. And so I did spend a lot of time hiding my grief, or hiding my loneliness, or hiding my emotions. And it wasn't until many years after my husband died that I even came to this platform where I could share my grief and loss, and share my experiences to where I felt validated and less alone. I can tell you, if you can find somebody to share the burden with, find somebody to share stories with, to connect to over grief, that was one of the most healing things. Strangers were more support in my grief than anything, because I was connecting with people who got the loss.